to this Astro Mindfulness journey through the first decan of Pisces. Astro Mindfulness brings astrology into our lived experience, combining ancient astrological archetypes and symbols with mindfulness, imagination, breath, and sensory awareness. Rather than only thinking about astrology, we enter its landscape, noticing how it feels in the body and becoming curious about what it might reveal. These meditations are timeless. You may have found this one during a Pisces lunation or another activation of this part of your chart, but you can return whenever the landscape and themes of Pisces I speak to something that you are experiencing. This meditation is for anyone curious to explore this decan and may feel particularly resonant if you have planets or angles here, or when this part of your chart is being activated, for example by solar return. Pisces is mutable, yin, water. It is receptive in a landscape of movement, transition, and changing form. Jupiter rules Pisces and is also a co-ruler of this decan through triplicity, bringing faith, meaning, and the possibility of discovering something beyond what we already understand. Venus is exalted here, bringing beauty, inspiration, and connection, while Saturn, the co-ruler of the Decan of Pisces I, brings our awareness to time, boundaries, and the structures that shape our experience. Together, these planets become our guides as we enter the landscape. I invite you now to settle into a comfortable position. You may decide to sit, maybe resting your hands on your lap with your back straight and supported and your feet on the floor. You may prefer to lie down with the whole of your body supported, and some people prefer to walk while they meditate. Allow yourself to settle into the stillness of the present moment. You may wish to close your eyes or allow your gaze to rest gently downwards. Then bring your attention to where your body meets the surface beneath you. Noticing the weight of your legs, your hips, your back, perhaps your hands and arms resting wherever they've naturally settled. Allow that surface that you're connected with to take a little more of that weight. As you breathe in and breathe out, notice your shoulders. Can you sense any tension here that you can release with the out-breath? With another breath in, bring your awareness to the muscles around your eyes and forehead. And with the out-breath, release any tension. We often accumulate tension through our day, our week, our month, and we forget to release it. With the next in-breath, bring your attention to your jaw. And release any tension with the out-breath. With the next in-breath, search your body for any other areas of tension. Maybe your neck, your hands, your stomach. And release it again with the out-breath. Where else can you sense that you're holding any tension? Just breathe in and bring your awareness to it. And then breathe out, just allowing it to soften and release. You're just breathing into that place and noticing whether a little more space becomes available around it and whether you can soften it a little. And as your attention returns to your breathing, noticing the in-breath, noticing if there's a pause before the out-breath. See if you can notice where you can feel your breath most clearly. Perhaps you notice cool air entering your nostrils and warmer air leaving. You might feel your chest gently expanding and releasing, or the rise and fall of your abdomen. Choose one physical sensation of breathing that for you feels easy to notice. And for now, continue breathing into and out of this place only. In mindfulness, we call this place your mindful anchor. Your mind will wander. It may move towards thoughts, memories, images, or plans. Whenever you notice this, simply notice where your attention has travelled to, and then gently return to the sensation of your next breath. Return again and again to your mindful anchor, allowing yourself to wander, notice, and return. This is the practice of mindfulness. You breathe into your mindful anchor, aware of the support beneath you, and arriving even more fully into the present moment. You notice how the ordinary demands of the day are receding for a little while, and you're allowing yourself to step into sacred time. This is a space where you don't need to solve anything immediately, but you can simply notice what you discover. When you feel ready, you can join me in a visualization. Maybe you begin to hear, smell, or see a shoreline beginning to emerge around you. You sense low light, perhaps the blue-grey of early morning before sunrise. You're standing beside a small boat, resting your hand against its weathered side, and you realise that you've crossed the water to reach this place that you're in. And you reflect on how the boat has carried you this far, maybe appreciating what it has given you, even as you sense at the same time that it belongs to the journey already travelled, rather than the one ahead. You have some belongings still in the boat, so take what belongs to you, including a wooden walking staff that feels smooth and aged and very familiar. And you begin to walk, following the water and the shoreline. As you walk, feel the changing ground beneath your feet. Perhaps you begin on wet sand and it becomes shingle, the stones shifting slightly beneath each step. Maybe you see small pools of water, left behind by the tide, reflecting the pale sky. Pause for a moment to tune into your senses. What can you hear? Perhaps you hear the movement of the waves against the shore, or the wind passing through the grasses nearby on land, or up in the sky a seabird calling somewhere in the morning mist. What can you smell? Maybe the salt in the air. What can you feel? Maybe there's a cool moisture against your skin. What can you taste? Maybe that salty air is leaving a taste on your tongue already. Connect again with your mindful anchor, your own quiet rhythm. As you hear the rhythm of the tide and the water. And you continue on for a while as the way ahead seems clear. Gradually, though, the shoreline becomes harder to follow. There's a mist gathering over the water, and the tide is crossing your route in places, while faint tracks are dividing and disappearing. You make a decision and choose one, continue onwards. But after a while walking, you notice that things are looking familiar, and you question whether you've passed this way before. Perhaps you try what appears to be the other direction, only to again find yourself somewhere that you think you recognise. How does it feel when the ways you choose keep returning you to the same place? Notice your response. Is there an urge to search harder, go faster, think better? Or what happens if instead you stop? Feel your hand connecting with your wooden staff, and let it connect with the ground. Listen again to the water beyond the mist. You tilt your head to the sky and notice the direction of the breeze against your face. Do you discover, when you stop relying only upon what you can see, what are these other senses telling you? Perhaps you see some light catching in a tidal pool, a pretty shell lying amidst the stones, its shape revealed by the retreating water. And again, through the mist, a bird calling. What is drawing your attention in this landscape? As you're pausing, you're feeling Venus's presence here, exalted in Pisces, through the beauty, inspiration and connection that you're noticing. Somehow what attracts us moves us, or awakens our curiosity, and becomes another way of finding direction. As you're noticing all these things, and letting them settle into your awareness, maybe you reflect on where beauty or inspiration might be quietly asking for your attention in everyday life. What are you drawn towards when you stop trying so hard to find the way? The information that you've learned, you move on a little further before you become aware of another hesitation. But this time you respond differently. You don't immediately look for an alternative route. This time you stop and connect your staff into the ground. You feel its steadiness beneath your hand and its connection with the earth below. You bring your attention to your feet and their connection with the earth, and you notice your breathing and connect with your mindful anchor. And then you notice what you become aware of when you allow yourself to just stand here. Perhaps there is uncertainty about continuing. You might feel a reluctance to leave what is familiar, or a feeling that the way ahead is somehow closed to you. If there's nothing in the landscape that's physically preventing you from taking another step, what might it be that's holding you here? Perhaps there's an old fear behind the hesitation. There may be a story that you've been telling yourself. It might be a story about yourself that you've always told, or about other people, or the world even. that has shaped what you believe is safe or possible. Perhaps it is something that you were taught long ago, or an understanding that you formed through experience. Or maybe it's something else entirely. There's no need to search hard for an answer, to try and create it with your logical mind. Just stay connected with your staff, your feet, and your breathing into your mindful anchor, and notice what arrives. We can feel Saturn's presence here. As the co-ruler of this decan, Saturn reveals boundaries and underlying structures, including those formed slowly through experience and over time. If a fear or an old story has appeared, what purpose might it once have served? Perhaps it protected you, helped you make sense of something difficult, or created a boundary when one was needed. As you stand here on this shoreline, you might ask whether it still describes the world that you are standing in today. Does it still fit who you have become and who you are becoming? Could the story be understood differently now? You don't need to push it away or pull it apart. Perhaps just seeing it clearly is enough to loosen your certainty that that is the only way that things can be. Know that you can return to this any time that you want to or need to, or that it arrives in your mind again. When you feel ready, return to your mindful anchor and feel the staff again steady beneath your hand, supporting you. And then look back towards the shoreline. While you've been standing here, the tide has continued to move. Water is slipping back across the sand, revealing stones, pools, and stretches of shore that were hidden before. The landscape has already changed. Perhaps you have changed the way that you're looking at it too. What can you see now that you couldn't see before? There may be another way along the shoreline, one that you overlooked when you were searching so hard for the path that you expected to find. The mist is shifting and slightly lifting, and for a moment perhaps you can glimpse the horizon. We can feel Jupiter here, the ruler of Pisces and co-ruler of this decan, inviting us towards meaning, perspective, and faith in all the possibilities beyond what we presently know. Where might life be asking you to allow for another possibility? What if the map that you've been using cannot describe everywhere you are capable of going? You don't need to know where this newly revealed way eventually leads, but perhaps something about it simply calls to you. The morning light is glistening along the wet stones, and the water is reflecting the changing sky. And again you hear that bird calling to you from somewhere further along the shore. Notice if something is inspiring you to continue. The landscape was always larger than the route that you had imagined through it. And And when you feel ready, begin to walk again. Somewhere behind you, the boat remains upon the shore. It carried you across the water when you needed it, but you know that carrying it with you now would make the next part of the journey harder. Is there something that has carried you this far, which you no longer need to carry in quite the same way? Are you ready now to honour what it gave you, while allowing yourself to continue? You look ahead and notice how the shoreline is curving into the remaining mist, and you still cannot see the whole way. But maybe you feel differently now. You can feel your staff meeting the earth and hear the water beside you. You're noticing the changing light and trusting all the information from all of your senses. Perhaps you're realizing that this hidden path was never about seeing further ahead. Perhaps it was more about the frame through which you were viewing it. You know that the tide will rise and fall again, and continually redraw the boundary between land and sea. And so too your understanding can move and be redrawn. You pause and return again to the physical sensation of your mindfulness anchor. And take 3 integrating breaths. Breathe in, allowing yourself to receive the possibility of seeing your path differently. And breathe out, releasing a little of the old fear or story that may have been limiting what you believed was possible. Breathe in, receiving the possibility of seeing your path differently. And breathe out, releasing a little more of that old fear or story. And for the final time, breathe in, allowing yourself to receive the possibility of seeing your path differently. And as you breathe out, release whatever resistance you are ready to let go, making space for what you're beginning to see here. As you rest on your journey for a few moments, you know that you'll always be travelling, and you may still be wandering, but perhaps going forward you'll be finding your way differently now. You know that it will soon be time to return as you sense the shoreline softening around you. You prepare to bring your awareness back to your physical body and to the surfaces supporting you. You notice the temperature of the air against your skin in the room that you began this in, and the sounds in the space around you. You return once more to your mindfulness anchor, following one complete breath as it enters and then leaves your body. Perhaps you can take something of this shoreline with you. The discernment to notice the stories shaping what you believe is possible, the openness to see beyond them, and the beauty or inspiration that draws you towards another way. Remember that you don't need to see the whole path. Sometimes the next step appears when we become willing to see the landscape differently. When you feel ready, stretch out your arms and move your fingers. Then stretch your legs and gently wiggle your toes. If you closed your eyes, allow them to gently open. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for joining me. Travel well, friends.